Hello, I'm Bill LeMay, and thank you for watching Community Matters. We hope you'll continue to watch as we discuss issues facing our community and provide you with the resources and information needed to find solutions. This week, we're discussing hearing loss in children and the deaf and hard of hearing community. Some studies say that around 20% of Americans have some degree of hearing loss. With early diagnosis and treatment, however, hearing loss certainly doesn't have to be a disadvantage. Today, we'll talk with some folks familiar with hearing loss. And joining us now are Bailey Gray, a sixth grader at Westlake Middle School, and her mother, Kelly Gray. And thank you both for being here. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, let's start with you, Bailey. Tell me about yourself. I know you've suffered some hearing loss. How did that happen?
It happened when I was being formed and the fluid in my ears was being damaged, and once your hair cells are damaged, they can never be fixed, and so that's how my hearing loss happened.
Now, what's it like for you now? I know it's hard to describe something that, someone else can't really hear themselves, but can you hear, and how much can you hear?
I can hear most of the time, but sometimes I have to have things repeated a lot because it's hard sometimes because hearing aids don't always pick up everything.
And how are you doing in school? I mean, what do you do? You got any hobbies, anything you like to do?
Well, I'm starting up volleyball soon, so I'm really excited to see how that goes.
Yeah, well, that's great. Okay, Mom, you've had to go through this,
Yes.
and I think sometimes it's a lot worse for the parents, Bailey, I'll be honest with you. So what was it like for you and how you've gotten this diagnosis? I mean, when did you first learn about it?
She did not pass her newborn hearing screening in the hospital when she was born. So that was a little scary, but they thought because she was a C-section baby that maybe that had something to do with it. So they said, don't be concerned. And then we did follow-up testing, and it took probably 2.5 years before they got a good diagnosis where they finally said, yes, this is her level of hearing loss and she probably needs hearing aids. So it was a very stressful time until we got a diagnosis.
Well, I can imagine. And, I have a young daughter myself, and those are years that you're learning things. And how did Bailey do with that, with having the hearing loss?
Good. We had a lot of support. She had trouble, she didn't crawl like the other kids, and she walked later, and we think it's because of her hearing loss. She has actually what's called enlarged vestibular aqueduct syndrome. So they don't know a whole lot about that, but it can affect your balance. And so they think that's probably why she didn't crawl normally, and it took her a while to walk. We have to be careful of head trauma because that can increase her level of hearing loss permanently. So we had speech therapy most of your life actually. But yeah, that started when she was 1.5 or so. So just kind of.
Is that when she first got her first hearing aids?
No, she didn't get them until her 3rd birthday.
Oh man. What was that like for you? Oh, you probably can't remember. You're so old now. 3 years. But I mean, well, let me ask you this. What's it like with the hearing aids? Because I actually have some myself, and I'm not a big fan of them. But how important is it for you to have them, and how do you like them?
I like my hearing aids because they help me hear, and I know it is a little bit hard when I'm swimming because I don't have them in, but I do like them because they do help me hear what I do need to hear.
I can imagine, and I should probably wear mine more. But let's talk about this. Her hearing loss, is it going to continue? And if it does, what options do you have?
Her hearing loss has been progressively getting worse. It's not just high frequencies or low frequencies, it's kind of everything. So she's seen at UNC where they have the best staff there, and they will one day put cochlear implants in her probably once she loses most of her hearing.
Well, yeah, it always comes down to money. I'm sorry, it does.
Yeah.
How does that work out? Do insurance policies cover that now?
Mm-hmm. So the implants are considered a prosthetic, so they are covered fully by insurance. They're very, very expensive, but they should be covered. And then once they're in, I think it just is tweaking every now and then, but that's a permanent option and apparently very, very good.
Well, Bailey, let me ask you, any advice for other kids who might be watching with their parents this morning? I mean, you're living it. Any tips, any advice?
If you're looking for hearing aids, you should probably go to UNC because they have all these options and they give you stuff that you want and they help you. And hearing aids are actually really fun. They're not scary because when someone annoying is talking to you, you can turn them off with your hearing aid.
That is an option you have, isn't it?
Well, and I remember when she was little, I've been amazed that her friends are so supportive of it, and just think it's cool. And, if she meets someone new and they say, "What is that in your ear?" One of her friends always steps up and says, "Oh, those are Bailey's hearing aids, and let me tell you about that." And I remember when she was in preschool, her friends in the class wanted hearing aids, so they took bread and squished up bread and put it in their ears to make it look like they had ear molds in there, just like Bailey had.
You got some great
So,
friends.
Yeah, she does.
Well, both of you, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
We really
you.
do appreciate it. We I think, can learn a lot from the story. And for the rest of you, stick around. Up next, we have the executive director of a local organization that helps parents of children with hearing loss. So stay with us.